Hello Legend Players, Legend Breeder, and welcome back to some more Destiny 2. Now today, I'm not going to be making any funny videos. Today I'm not going to be doing anything what most people would call fun. Today I'm actually going to be dealing with my review over Destiny 2's Season 10, aka Season of the Worthy. So let's get started, shall we? For those of you who do not play Destiny 2 often, I have to say, out of the entirety of the season and out of most of what I do and how I play this game, this season has not been the kindest, to say the least. It's not been the worst. It's not been the worst. But in multiple different cases and terms, it has also not been the best. For this video, I'm going to be using specifically Season of the Worthy equipment just to have some form of gameplay. For those of you who didn't see my video earlier, I did make a video about watching the Almighty Crash, which honestly, I did enjoy watching the Almighty Crash. Very interesting, but it will be put into the compilation of what was good and again at the same time what was also bad about this season. Now, let's head into the bunker, shall we? So I may continue the review of Season of the Worthy. Destiny 2's Season of the Worthy started out what I would have to say fairly strong, simple, but easy. It was a formal story that everyone can understand. The Almighty that we were introduced to since the beginning of the game was going to be used as a weapon. Very interesting, very strategic, and very much needed. We haven't heard anything from the Almighty since the beginning of the game. It was downright a well-played move on Bungie's part. Having us ally up with Rasputin, even though Zavala is still 50-50 about him, because he's a robot, we don't know what he's thinking. All that we know is that he's being programmed to do stuff. That's all we're assuming at this point. That was definitely more good reason, especially more reasons for us to both, one, on two terms here, one, hate Zavala, and two, understand why Zavala is doing the things he's doing. Out of this entire season, however, because of the activity not being as rewarding, neither it being not as rewarding, but not as, how does one say, thirsty. That may sound weird, but let me get the idea out. This season wasn't as thirsty simply because there wasn't a need necessarily to grind. And I've been noticing this in the past couple of seasons as well. Most of the season have just basically been asking you to make and go for a seal in order for you to want to play the game. If you have no interest in that seal, then the game doesn't have that big of a reward other than until, say, the mission quest comes out. Now, having the seraph bunkers, I will admit that was nice. I am going to miss these parts because, for those of you who don't know, I enjoyed D1 seraph bunker strikes. They were interesting, especially since we didn't get to see Rasputin as much in D1 as we do get to in D2. So the fact that I get to come up here, talk to Rasputin, get some bounties from him, and level up this man cave of a base is amazing. It really was a nice thing. Putting it on the moon and on Io, a little repetitive, but at the same time, I did not mind it as well. Okay, let's start up a bunker, shall we? Now, the daily bunker buster had to have been, so far, the one activity everyone kept coming back to play with. And necessarily speaking, that wasn't a bad idea, but it wasn't the most clever idea, since most if not everyone wasn't necessarily as intrigued for doing the exact same thing day in, day out, repeatedly, only because that was the one thing they needed to do if they even wanted to turn in some, if not half, their bounties that they worked for, just to be told to go off and grab more bounties. Overall, I have to give this season, out of 5 stars, a 2/4 star. For anyone who's not aware of my grading system, when I say a 2/4 star, that basically means I'm giving them 2 full stars and then a 1/4 star at the end of that. So 2 fulls and 1 halvesy. And the reasons why, I'm going to explain now. The reason why I'm giving this game a 2/4 star, or out of 10, I would have to say 4 out of 10. Not out of 10 stars, just in general out of 10 points. Or whatever. The scale of 10. I have to give this game 4 out of 10 or 2.5 out of 5 stars, simply because the idea, like I stated earlier, was hard-hitting. Just like Curse of Osiris, just like Warmind, we had grand ideas, they had great purposes, and even the missions weren't bad. Go into the weekly Warmind bunker, unclog it, unclear it, meet up with Zavala and Rasputin and Anna, and understand why they're so distrustful of each other. If you choose Zavala's side, he's pretty much still mourning the idea of Cade. I'm still getting shot at. What's going on is very much live, for those of you who think that this is edited content, so no, this is live. I'm not that advanced. I would hope I would be by now. Rasputin is a technological war mind. He's an AI forced to think about his next move. Most if not all of the people in Destiny 2 thought he was just thinking off of based opinion and ideal. Basically, whatever his programming was. And a lot of people at times were right, but most of us were wrong until we figured out the reason as to why Rasputin was helping us in the first place. He killed his own son, Felwinter, which was a tongue twister at that. A mind blower at that. It was something no one had seen coming. It was something we all thought, well, that's never gonna happen, right? Oh, we were definitely wrong. We were by all means very much so wrong. Most people would often agree to say that this season was dry in content, and yes, that is true. The season had great content. The Seraph Towers, I enjoyed it. I love the idea. The weapons, I definitely want to say, are grind for. Like, I got this shotgun by random chance, and I use this shotgun all the time in PvE. The weapons, worthy of the worthy loot. The armor, 50-50. I'm always a bit picky when it comes to armor pieces, because I'm not gonna lie, this season's Rasputin armor, I definitely look like a Russian dictator. Don't think that was the intention there, but I look like a Russian dictator at the very least. Season was dry, even though it was still fruitful with plenty of individual aspects that should have made this season successful were this a normal story mode, say like the House of Wolves expansion or Crota's End expansion. I think the new seasonal activity stuff is a good idea in certain cases. Say what they did with Black Armory. Not necessarily Joker's Wild, definitely. Gambit Prime definitely needed to stay, as well as Menagerie. Forges, I can enjoy them staying as well, but you do get the idea. The seasonal idea has had some twists and turns, some good, many not as awesome. Many have been less fruitful. For example, this season as well as Season of the Undying. Season of the Undying being a much less fruitful and grindy successor compared to Season of the Dawn. Season of the Worthy is fruitful with the wrong things, but dry with the right things. It's fruitful with the loot. It's fruitful with the armor, with the aspects, the modifications, and the activities, which weren't bad. But unfortunately, it was dry with what it needed. It was dry with the content that we asked Bungie for, but they were listening to us. They gave us something like what we asked, but they weren't listening. They were hearing us, to say the least. That's the best I can give a description of what happened. They basically just told us, don't worry, we're giving you what you want, even though it's not everything you asked for. It's not that long list of things you told us this is what we want. This is basically just, oh my god, I hate this thing so much. I'm gonna waste all my ammo on this bloody thing, I know it. Okay, I'm getting Arnie. The season had a lot of good things. The Javelin coming back in public destinations. EDZ, Io, Moon, great ideas. But and also bringing in practical the Arnold Schwarzenegger of Destiny 2. this season was very fruitful, unfortunately, with the wrong things. I've already said that a couple times now, but it's just to edge the point on. This season has been what we wanted and the exact opposite from what we wanted as well. This season has been a great story, but it's also just been a big lead up to something that we already knew was gonna happen. Just not the way we were expecting it to happen, though. Think of it like this. Think of it like the Felwinter's Lie. Right off the bat, when we heard the King of Shotguns was coming to town, everyone was excited. But it was more or less half-baked. The mission was definitely fantastic. I would love to replay that mission time and time again, just to go back into that bunker and just to unnervingly be scared the living crap out of by Rasputin. Don't ask why. I was not expecting of how overpowered, just how creepy the area was, to say the least. I had to pick the EDZ bunker, of course. Okay, give me 1 second. The season had a great story. The Almighty being used against us, it's about time we even involve the Almighty, especially after, what, 2 years of not even talking about it? We haven't said a word about it since Curse of Osiris. That's a bloody fact. The last thing we said was basically, you know, the people on the Almighty are kind of still there. Maybe there's something we could do about them. Nah, let's just leave them be. Unfortunately, that was just it. We just mentioned them as a reminder of like, oh right, there was previous crap to the game. But does it matter? When all that matters now is basically, we've won that war, so what's the point of bringing it up again? Okay, that's BS. I could have sworn I killed you. Killed him! The Almighty was a great tactic. It was a great refresher, a great setback, and it brought us into an amazing storyline. As for the wait for that storyline, that was just the, I'll just once say this. That was just the one thing that made the game so tedious. It was constantly that, yay, we have a big threat now, we have something to work for, but it didn't give us the reason to work in the first place. By the end of the season, we're all going to get the rewards, we're all going to see the activity, even if we didn't touch Seraph Towers. Now, I mainly did have a reason to stay in the game, and that was Trials of Osiris. But that came out so half-baked with them saying, listen, Bungo community, we're listening to you guys. No, you're hearing us. When we asked for all auto rifles to be nerfed, because almost at this point, all of the auto rifles were pretty much god weapons. I'm not a guy that decides to fall back and say, I'm gonna use the meta. I'm not that type of guy. I have nothing wrong with the meta, but I have that type of idealistic, it's like, well, if I use the meta, I'm not going to grow to be better. I'm not going to be a better player if I'm using the same thing as everyone else. So I'm going to use something different and beat everyone's butt with this something else. It sounds smart, and in certain cases, it really is. In other cases, though, it does make me sound like a retard whenever I'm using other weapons and people look at me and say, you're hacking, and I look at them saying, I'm not hacking at all, I'm actually just playing the game, and I am a little bit better than you. So, It just, Trials of Osiris definitely came out half-baked. Again, I'm not the guy that used the meta, so autos and shotties definitely weren't my first prerogative when it came to playing the game. After hearing about the sun setting, I basically am going to have to deal with the fact that I'm going to have to use the meta, or at the very least, something other than the meta, even though I can't use the same guns that have always been very useful to me. I've built myself in the ways to say that I can use Mountaintop and Recluse against any shotgun, except for Chaperone, because that thing is a sniper shotgun, and I still hate it to this day. Trials of Osiris definitely came out underbaked, though. Underbaked, undercooked, whatever you want to say. It didn't come out the way we expected it. They heard us. They basically said, Trials of Osiris isn't rewarding enough. Don't worry, we'll add in a bounty that will give you whatever the 3-win loot thing is. That's good, but that's not what we were talking about. You could basically do what Trials of Osiris in D1 did. Regardless if you won or lost, and if you grab bounties, you could still get Trials loots. I have friends that never went flawless in D1, but they're wearing a full sack of Trials armor from all three from all three different seasons of Trials loots, and they look amazing. They look fantastic, and I look at them and say, man, I wish I played Trials of Osiris. I never touched it. I got into the game way too late. This season, the only time I ever went flawless is when my friend said, hey, you know how you paid for that thing way back in the day? Listen, I found these carry groups, and I was thinking, to pay you back, I might as well get you a free flawless carry. How does it sound for you? And I said yes. The only reason I ever went flawless is because someone paid to carry for me. Flawless is filled with the basic people that don't give two craps about the state of the game, unless it basically means I can do as little crap as possible and still get overpowered loot. It's basically why I don't like shotguns. You're either going to run into two people. One, the person that's skilled with the shotgun, or two, the person that's going to hide in the corner also with the shotgun. Either way, the person that's skilled that's going to run around the map and trick shot you in multiple different ways is going to one-shot kill you fast, efficiently, and creatively at that. The person that's going to be hiding in the corner with a shotgun is still going to one-shot kill you. And I don't like that because they're practically doing the exact same thing. The difference is on how they do it. One could be effectively, the other one could be lazily, but they're still going to get the kills. They're still going to get the efficiency. They're still going to be labeled Crucible Gods, even though they're doing something completely different, but they have the exact same weapon. That's basically how this season kind of came out. It came out both righteous, skilled. It was worthy at first. We liked the idea. It gave us an awesome story. Almighty's falling towards Earth. Zavala, regardless whether he likes it, he's scared to face his fears of losing more people. He meets with Rasputin, and he understands because of Rasputin. Rasputin is also scared of losing more people. That's why he's here to save the fight. That's why he's here to deal with this. And not to mention, did we get an awesome story, but we're also getting freaking live world story as well. When the Seraph Towers kicked in, and when the update towards Seraph Towers made it so that we weren't launching rockets into the ground anymore, we were launching them in space. That's what I loved when the towers, the freaking, I'm going to say warning towers, to say the least. The warning towers went into the sky. The warning towers were something that was environment storytelling. We haven't had that happen since Season of Dawn. Season of the Undying, we had a little bit of that. Like, each season has gotten progressively more and more environment storytelling. And the activity of Seraph Towers, I loved it, but it came out under bait. It was definitely what we needed. In certain cases, yes, this is definitely what I would have to say where Bungie was hearing us, but not listening to us. When the Felwinter's Lie Quest came out, they basically said, don't worry, we're going to nerf the final boss in the progression. That's great. But they didn't nerf the Seraph Towers itself. They nerfed the progression towards getting Felwinter's Lie, and they basically nerfed the final boss. But they didn't necessarily need to nerf the final boss. Well, most if not all the community was asking them to nerf, so that way we can get the almighty title, the seal, the basic triumph, the one thing that makes this season you want to grind, to get that and then never touch the game again until next season, because that's how dry the game is. That one title this season, I don't have it, because the one thing they nerfed wasn't what we asked them to nerf. Bungie, I'll say this because it is true. Have you given us a great story? Yes. Have you given us an amazing narrative with great loot? Yes. Have you done an amazing performance on giving us said loot and detailing this story? Yes and no. Because the narrative has been stretched out to what feels like should be an 8, maybe 2 days worth freaking campaign. 2 days worth of missions, grinding, loot, and all that stuff. Not a 3-month story where you're only given 5-minute missions once a month. Because at that point, it's tedious, it's elongating a very short plot that shouldn't be taking this long. Don't get me wrong, I understand why it should be taking this long. The Almighty is at Mercury. That's the first planet in the solar system, and it has to travel to Earth. That makes sense, and it's realistic. It's taking its time. It's taking 3 months of its time to get from the first planet to the third planet. It makes sense. It's narrative storytelling. It's accurate. We love that fact. Even when we were destroying the Almighty today, it was accurate. But you have to admit, it was 90 minutes of basically us being tedious. It's like, hey, is this thing going to blow up yet? I feel like that's what basically was so great and horrible about this season. It was tedious, even though we still enjoyed it and loved it. The Seraph Towers, a great idea. Tedious because it wasn't match made. The loot, loved it. Tedious because that's all it was. We basically just got it. We could have grinded for it over and over again, but once we got a good roll version, we're not really going to want to grind for anything else because this was all it was. Just the random chance or the guaranteed roll from the bounty. The Almighty and the story itself, tedious because we had to wait so long to understand why Zavala was so scared and why Rasputin was helping us, but it was good because we learned those exact same things out. We understood why Zavala has been a giant prick for the past year, because he's scared to lose more people. He doesn't want to lose Kate again. That's what I love about this season. It's tedious, but it's perfect. It gave us a great narrative, even though it did it in such a horrible way. Season of the Worthy is definitely what I would have to call a 2.5 stars. A 4 out of 10. On a Bray, I'm gonna leave you to that. Bye! Okay, before any more BS comes out, I'm gonna leave that real quickly. Am I going to be sad to say that this season is leaving? Kind of. It did give us amazing moments, especially when the Almighty was being blown up. This is the first time in Destiny history that they did a live event. And I'm not even going to count the Dawning of the Festival of Lost. Technically, yes, those are live events, but those aren't events like it's going to happen this season. Blowing up the Almighty? That's going to happen once and once alone. Freaking Festival of Lost? That's going to happen every year until Destiny 3 comes out. We all got to admit to that. What they did this season was both worthy and worthy-less. I have to give it that at the very least. And that is my review for Destiny 2's Season 10, aka Season of the Worthy. Comparing this to Season of the Dawn's review, I gave Season of the Dawn a 4 out of 5 stars. Still very tedious, but I will have to say I did at least want to grind for it. Because, first of all, we got Saint 14. Second of all, we got Saint 14. That was it. This season, I kept playing because I wanted Trials loot. I wanted to go flawless and get the rest of the Trials game. But because of how hard it was to get past 2 wins with my friends that usually do and often do not play Crucible, it was a pain. It really was. Trials came out underbaked. I loved the idea, I loved the loot, and I wanted to play it. But because of how many, and I'm saying it now, trash players kept going into freaking Trials of Osiris, it was difficult getting past to the 3 wins. Yes, I did get loot. I got the Scout, I got the Shotty, I got the Fusion, I got the Helmet, and I got the Titan Mark. But even then, it's just like, that's all the loot I got. And it didn't feel rewarding. I went flawless because my friend paid someone else to get me flawless. It wasn't hacks. It wasn't them carrying me, it was more of a win-trade service. So basically, we went up against other people, and the other people left before we even matched up against with them. And I know who those people were. It was the exact same people every freaking time. So it wasn't like we were hacking or any crap like that. And I have to say, that just disappointed the season for me. It was a big letdown for me. Season of the Worthy was just tedious in many different ways, and at the same time, a great narrative that we kind of needed. It brought back what we wanted and what we needed. But at the same time, I really hope Bungie does listen to us more. The Felwinter's Lie quest came out, we were just like, Bungo, you need to fix this. And when they did fix it, and when the quest came out, we were happy. They listened to us, because they did realize that there's a situation. And they did hear, no, not even hear, they did listen to the situation that we told them about. We even gave out ideas of what it was. And they listened to us for once. throughout all of Trials of Osiris. They heard us. They'll make the game more rewarding, but they didn't do it in the ways we thought they would, or the ways that we even gave them ideas on how they could do it. They completely cock-blocked us on our ideas, and they heard us. They heard the fact that we wanted more loot. They gave us what we wanted, but they didn't listen to us, and they didn't care about our ideas. Same thing with Season of the Worthy. They heard a lot of our ideas, but they didn't listen to us. They didn't make this activity easier. They didn't necessarily make this a match-made activity either, so that way getting the almighty title would not necessarily be easier, but it would be less of a challenge. I don't have the almighty title, and trust me, I grinded for the undying title and the savior title. The fact that I don't have a title known as almighty is upsetting to me, because I grinded the crap out of this season. And not to mention, this season felt, again, tedious, because they gave us pinnacles. They gave us Felwinter's Lie, and they gave us the Point of the Stag, but it was tedious that we basically got it in either a ridiculously easy way, either waited for it, or it just wasn't worth it, even though when we got it, it was still just like, you know, this is cool. It's not as worth it. Now, the price to getting it wasn't as worth it, but it was nice that I have it. This season is definitely what I'd have to say difficult. But again, comparing it to Season of the Undying got it straight 3 stars. This season's getting a 2.5 star. That's the best I can give it. Season of the Dawn I'd have to give 4 stars for, because they definitely hit it with the narrative. And they at the very least made the grind something that you wanted to do, since not only did you want to work for the seal, but they gave us a brand new armory full of weapons, and a reason to grind as well, which is mainly to level up for Trials of Osiris, and that didn't kick off as well, which is why I'm kind of lowering this season worse than Season of the Undying and Season of the Dawn. They promised us a lot, and they didn't necessarily fulfill, and when we kept asking them to give us what they promised, they give us more half promises, which wasn't as what I was hoping for. Yeah, that has been the Season of the Worthy review. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. And remember, I'll see you, Legend Players, in the next video. Bye! Bye-bye!